Yeah, I'm Jem. I'm a beekeeper and I run Jem's Bees. And I won this fantastic, where is it? Here it is. It's a whopping great brick of a thing. I'm Lone Wolf, well, my Lone Wolf Business of the Year 2024. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy and humbled by that. So, yeah, thank you.
Could you provide an overview of your career journey that ultimately led you to essentially founding Jem Bees and becoming a beekeeper, along with a brief description history of Jem Bees?
Okay, it's quite a lot there. So my career history is certainly not linear and it's not neat and tidy. It was never, beekeeping was never the plan. It all started because I was actually overcoming a phobia of stinging insects. So I've got quite thick hair. So growing up as a child, all the bees and wasps used to get stuck in my hair and it never used to end well. So that's kind of why I thought, right, I need to get over this. So when I was working in publishing and living in Kent, I went and got involved with a community group who were selling local honey. And they were really kind. They put me in a suit and just let me watch the bees. And slowly I started learning that actually they weren't interested in stinging me. They had their own things to do. And so fear turned into fascination. Now, the problem was at the time, this is quite a few years ago, is that I had a full-time job and I was passionate about aviation. At every spare moment of the kind of weekend I had, I was trying to either go skydiving or learn to fly a microlight. So there wasn't a lot of time for beekeeping, even though I really wanted to start. So ultimately I made the decision to leave publishing and I moved to Cambridgeshire because I was offered a job with Amazon Prime Air as a drone pilot, as you do. So I started that and I moved into a little cottage. And this was the catalyst because my lovely landlord said, yeah, Jem, do you want to keep some bees in the walled garden? And I thought, oh, this is great, I'll start it. So, I got a couple of hives and that was ticking over. And then the biggest catalyst was the fact that I got long COVID and I was made redundant. And it was one of those kind of life career checkpoints. The recovery process for that took quite a long time. And I spent a lot of time in the garden with the bees and they became my therapy. And I guess I thought, Christ, Jem, your head's been up in the clouds for so long, and maybe perhaps you've missed the little things on the ground and perhaps taken things for granted. So things changed from there, and my beekeeping became not more intensive, but it started to take over my life a little bit. And now I'm sort of doing it part-time / full-time. It's become Jem's Bees. And I thought, well, Jem's Bees is me being the beekeeper, and I sell natural produce and I also sell some printed produce as well. And I do the printed stuff so that if I have a year where perhaps honey harvest is a bit lean, I've got some printed things to sell. So the business is selling what I make, but I also do group talks to people. And in the spring and summer, I go out into the community and I help with swarm collection. I don't know, many people might have seen a swarm, and it's normally a beekeeper who comes and takes them away. And that's me. So that's sorry, it's a bit of an overview, but that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at and what I do.
What challenges have you faced kind of founding Jem Bees, and what advice would you give to someone who is looking maybe to be more eco-friendly as well and insist in actually helping what you do is saving the bees as well?
So advice. I started Jem's Bees without any business knowledge at all. For most of my life, I have been an employee and worked for someone else with their own business strategy. So my challenge was to create my own strategy and and the journey is very much first-hand research every day. I'm trying new things. So I suppose advice, just come up with a strategy for people doing it on their own, and to just keep thinking things through. And failures aren't necessarily failures. They can be successes, especially if you learn from them and make an informed decision future when you kind of, do the next thing. With regards, did you say advice for people who want to save the bees? Was that your?
Yeah, because I know in recent news there is quite a lot of talk. I'm guessing because like you mentioned, you talk a lot about the bees and stuff, and I think that is actually an important thing to maybe mention as well. Is a lot of time.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a multifaceted answer. So the first thing when I say to someone who says, oh, what do I have to do to save the bees? My first answer is normally, well, let's think about what we need to save them / protect them from. And I've recently started writing blogs. And one of my first blog posts on my Jem's Bees website was literally save the bees. And it's the point of the blog is to get people thinking about exactly what I said, what it is we need to save them from. It talks about some of the risks, but also at the end of the blog, it gives you some ideas of the really simple things you can do to actually make a difference, whether it's in your garden, with your community, changing your shopping habits in a certain way. There are some hints and tips there. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to have an idea, have a little read and then let me know what you think. So it's an awkward answer. That's why it's easier to refer to my blog.
No, that's fantastic. If you want, we'll link that into the bottom of the video as well to make sure people can have a look at it, which will be great. What would you attribute as the main reason for your business's recent success?
I'm a very adaptable person, and I have been throughout my career. I've done all sorts, and I'm also entirely accountable. And this is the good thing for my business. I've got no other shareholders or stakeholders to refer to. So if I've got an idea, and it's a creative idea, it involves recycling and just designing something, I've got those skills. I've got my mindset, so I can actually respond to my own ideas quite quickly. So I think that is one of the main things. Obviously, the publishing, the making, and the recycling. And my hands-on work ethic has driven it. But I'm also quite pragmatic. And even though I can go at something quite fast-paced and fully charged, I'm kind of keep the realities in check as well. So I think those things have helped get me where I am.
And obviously, since winning the award, I know it's still the early days, but how has that affected your business, both internally and externally?
Well, internally, it's just me. So I have to think about this question. But because I literally go from one day to the next, making stuff, doing stuff, the actual application for the award, I think, has been the most beneficial thing, because it makes you sit down, think about what it is you're doing, what you believe in, what your successes are, what your failures are, what your outlook is. And if you are a bit of a lone wolf and doing things on your own like me, making time to sit and consider those things is really, really important. I mean, obviously, this thing is the icing on the cake. If you win it, it's really nice, especially to have a business panel deem you, and the best of the category. But that thinking space is really important. And for me, it's been a confidence boost, especially given all the things that have sort of happened to me. Externally, it's been really nice, because I've had a few other businesses contact me and congratulate me and stuff, but also tell me about their journey. And how they've grown as well, and that's been good. And other beekeepers, other family beekeepers who are trying to make their own kind of little business model have got in contact and asked me questions. So I think the external answer is it has started a networking on the short term, which is nice.
As an award winner now, would you recommend Business Awards UK to other businesses? And if so, why?
Yes, I would. What I will say, just to start that one off, is to anyone consider applying for an award, read everything. Read everything, small print and everything, because it is a commitment in lots of different ways. Time commitment. If you have to go to a ceremony or anything, it is your time, it is money as well, especially if you're a tiny micro business with limited marketing funds. Now, the reason I applied for your Business Awards UK was because you were very upfront with what you'll do, what you kind of won't do. And I felt that actually it worked because it would respect my time. So at the end of the day, if I was lucky to win, I wouldn't have to sort of go anywhere or do anything. And, summer, winter, autumn, all the months are quite busy for me, especially as a beekeeper, because at the end of the year, when ceremonies tend to be, I'm trying to sell my produce. I'm getting out and about. I don't really want to put a dress on and go to a big event if I don't have to. So yeah, it was a convenient choice, but an informed choice as well. So thank you for being very upfront on your website. So yes, I would recommend it. But as I say, with a little asterisk, make sure everyone reads everything and fully understands what they're getting involved with before they apply.
The start of 2024, there's the whole year left. What is the next big step for yourself and Jem Bees, would you say?
Right. Well, first and foremost, looking after the bees is a biggie for me. And I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of talk about Asian hornets and their pending kind of threat. They're going to establish themselves here in the UK. And it's a case of not when, not if. So most beekeepers now will be sort of speaking to their clubs and getting their apiary safer, putting in protection, getting some traps ready. So that's going to be my strategy initially with regards to the bees and their welfare. With regards to the actual business operation and making and selling things, I've got a few new products that I'm sort of launching. So I've just literally got a little pin badge, which is kind of a mental health mindfulness theme to it. So that's live. I'm doing a few more candles, and I'm also doing miniature honeys. I'm about to launch miniature honeys honeys for weddings, hospitality, corporate gifts, and special occasions. So I've never done that before, but I've got the little jars with me over there, and it's quite exciting. So that's going to be launched in March. I'm going to go and do a big wedding fair and see how that goes. And and I think it's still going to be an organic evolution for a while. I don't think we'll just see how this year goes. 2023 was interesting. So 2024 will be equally interesting, I'm sure. So,
No, that sounds like a very interesting year. I did not know about Asian hornets, but it's interesting to learn as well. And obviously, like you said, going to wedding corporate events, that'll be a really fun and I think great way to actually show your products to other people as well. And like you said, hopefully more people are just going to get into it and get the little honey. So very exciting.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for joining us today, Jem. It's been an absolute pleasure. If anyone wants to contact yourself or find Jem Bees, where can they find you?
Sure. I've got my own website, so it's www.jemsbees.co.uk, and I'm trying to get into the habit of posting regularly on Instagram, and I think I'm at Jem Beekeeper. So you can find me on there. There'll be logos and things for people to recognise me. But if they want to speak to me, please just message me, ask me any questions. There's never a stupid question with regards bees, and I'm always happy to talk to anyone about any aspect of it. So please do speak to me.
Brilliant. We'll make sure to put the links in our description for anyone who wants to get in touch. No, again,
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Gemma.
Thank you.